大家好，我叫顾立恒，英文名叫 Nick Gu，是英文 Timepieces 的一个设计师，然后也是co-founder。先跟大家说一个小故事。昨天晚上我跟一时准备我的presentation 的时候，我准备了两个，一个是中文，一个是英文。他们说，哎，最后你还是说英文吧。So anyway, I'm gonna switch to English for not maybe because of the reason that I don't speak Chinese well, just because I can give this presentation better. I'm going to go through a little bit of my background. I'm kind of related to architecture for my past 7, 8 years. I was an architecture student in Harvard University. Funnily enough, I was my graduate school dissertation was about architecture, continual temporality, which is really related to what Zhuang Lao Shi was presenting to everyone. In a way, I think what I'm presenting to you today is very much related to how we think about the old and how we can, innovate or change our everyday experience. Just to go through a little bit of my background, at Harvard, we are really hands-on. We actually go on to, build things and, besides our studio work. This is a piece that I work with a couple of friends. We won a competition at Harvard. It's a pavilion, it's for people to, have meditation. Another piece I work with the Xiamen studio. We had one Xiamen studio in GSD. We co-design, sort of collaborate with AECOM as well to explore possibility of residential and commercial buildings. And I have other interests. This is something, more technical. I want to explore how, we can make facade more interesting. This is a very much digital robotic exploration as well, which is also related to Shanghai in some way. In Tongji University, this summer we had this workshop, and another partner of this project, he was leading a workshop in Tongji University. Anyway, so this is very much the condition that I was kind of prepared for something else. Maybe, so in 2011 winter, how we work in the design school, architecture school, like you work pretty much 16 or 18 hours at school every day. You have 24 hours, maybe the remaining time you just go home and sleep. And there was a night my friend came to me, I was working in studio. Hey, you want to go drink or like go hang out with the business school people? At Harvard, we have the Harvard Business School, and then we have the MIT Business School. And then we have times that we can meet together and think about what we can do and talk about, just casual meetings. And that's where I met my founder. He was Hyun-Soo Kim, to the left of your screen. He's studying in MIT, the MBA program in Sloan. And we had a really good conversation at that, just one particular night. And we talk about, how we can design something that is, being more responsive to the society, and we can be more socially engaging. And then, like, 2 months after, we exchanged our contact. 2 months after, I got an email from him saying, like, hey, I really want to start a company, and do you want to join me? And then I was like, yeah, sure. Whatever I can do, I can help as much as I can. And here came after David on the middle is myself. David on the right, he's an industrial designer at RISD, which is located at Rhode Island, very much close to Boston. And Amanda, who is the graphic designer at RISD as well. So we formed a pretty good team, and we had really good time working together. Alongside, we think about our products, we also think about, our company name. Something, always happens spontaneously. E1, it's our company name now. It stands for everyone. That's how we want our company to approach design in a way that when we think about design, we think about how we can engage more people, how we can think about an object that can serve more purposes or even larger group of people in our society. This is a quote we always like. When you include the extremes of everybody, that is to say differently, people of all sorts, then you produce things that are better for all better for everyone. It is a quote by a very famous design consultant in the U.S. So this is the name. In some way, we really want to use that to every day inspire us or to remind us how we think about design. So as I say, we are, if you can see in the beginning, we actually designed a watch that is kind of different. We decided to really serve first maybe the visually impaired community. Or the blind community, if you will. There are many things that they're using, and the problem is that we see the watch being an object that they use is not really well designed, so to say, or really well engineered. To your left is a normal blind watch. It's called like a pretty obsolete touching watch. It's like a normal watch, but there's some brailles on it. You can touch the hands. You basically open the cover of the watch, and then you can touch the hands and know the time. But like by doing so, what is bad is that you always you always move the hands. You can't really tell time precisely, because if you touch it too hard, it will change the time. To your right is a talking watch. It's pretty much like a very intimidating device. Because when you try to know the time, the person sitting next to you will also be disturbed. So there's some other more adventurous or outrageous sort of design thinking. We can use just braille to tell time. Braille is the Manwen. But hey, if you use this watch, normal people can't use it. This is not what we want. So we go back and think about how we can go for the design. And this is a very early model we had. We used plastic, paper, whatever we could, just to think about how we can represent time. It's a very simple device. It's like a normal clock. On top of it, we attach balls on it to represent time. They run on a track that can hold itself within the object. And then we moved on to, again, not only working by ourselves, we try to reach out to talk to the community. These are people that we have interviewed and talked and worked with for about 1.5, 2 years. After that, they gave really good feedback. And one thing we learned, when we present to them, we can't say, like, this is a watch designed for the blind. This doesn't work. Like, they will be really mad when they hear that. But we didn't know why, but like, they actually didn't want to use something that is specifically designed for them. They want to use something that is, everyone can use. They don't want to be considered as a group that is underprivileged or underconsidered. So we learned that pretty quickly, and when we go back to them afterwards, we tell them, hey, we have a watch that is a tactile watch. This you can just touch to know the time. And then they were really excited and really happy, because they know it's not just for them. And we slowly learned that and think that actually we can try more and start to have an object or a product that is precisely not for one group of people. And then we moved on to have another prototype. This is a pretty early prototype that we try to move the clock prototype to our hands. Eventually we want to, just still want to bring it onto the wrist. This is a model seemingly have two metal balls. One is representing the minute, which is located on top. The side is representing the hour, which is located on the side. A very, different way of representing time, because normally when you see the thing on top, it, very much is about the hour, and the side would be minute. But of course, one thing is about the technical problem. The other thing is about, we want to think about time. You have a better sense of the hour. You might know now is around 8 o'clock, but you don't know 8:30 or 8:40. So when we want people to use this watch, when they first touch it, they can just know the minute. And that's how we also think about and move on for the design. This is a more improved version. We try to calibrate how the two balls runs in relation to each other, because we have a normal movement below, just like any other watches, basically. But we try to use the spacing and also try to use our own hands. We specifically design our own hands to move the magnet and balls below the watch. which was pretty successful. And we think that we can, like try again and, move on. We had a lot of, 3D printing testings, and that's how we, in our company, develop projects and things. So looking at the model just now, you don't see any markers on it. Like one thing that we need to think about is how we represent the, markers. Like when you touch the ball, you need to correlate to the markers. So this is another model that we move forward to see how, you can touch the markers and also touch a ball, and also that's how you know the time. These are more studies. We go back to 2D and to think about like how we really represent the markers. We can go for abstract, numbers, or we can go for abstract lines, just to, think about how tactile or tactility works in 3D as well. So afterwards, we go back to 3D testings and like more other possibilities to think about really the tactility of the watch. Like eventually, we need to present that as a tactile object that works for everyone. Luckily, we find our way out, and we try. After that, we try materials that are more aligned with the way how we produce it afterwards. We first started with something aluminum, which is not as easy to machine. As hands-on as we could, we tried to machine ourselves everything at the beginning. This is an aluminum model that can represent pretty much what we wanted to do. But we found the limitation of aluminum, which is not as good, and then we try as well the stainless steel model. And eventually we moved to a titanium one for the reason how stainless steel might affect the magnetic interaction below the movement. So we kind of at the end got one really good design, and we think that it's really a good way that we can start and see how we can move on. This is the model we have now, and stainless steel mesh and titanium model. But we are not. We weren't settled at that. This is just the video we had just now. Like you can see how this is a really quick time lapse, how the balls two moving against each other. So we weren't really settled for that. Like we were thinking of something more as a company, or as a company to present a product to build our brand as well. We found one person we really want to talk to, the guy who's really inspiring. This is Bradley Snyder. At the time we wanted to talk to him, he come to us actually. He called us one day and say, hey, I know you guys are doing something really cool, and he want to join us. And we were really excited to have him. Like he's a really inspiring figure, and really that's what our company want to approach as well. Have not we don't want to talk about the product, but we want to talk about other people, like other people that we think that are really great. So Brad Snyder, it's a ex-naval officer in the United States. He served in Afghanistan for about 2 years, but unfortunately in 2011 he lost his sight for some accident. But he's a really strong character. He wanted to still move on, to do something in life. So he decided to participate in the Paralympics, which is actually before we knew him. But like we had conversation, and like he was really supportive, and he won gold medal in the Paralympics in London in 2012. So that is a point that we think maybe we can really work with him, to name our watch Bradley, just to embrace him, and also like embrace the way we think about design and how we approach communities. We had a really good interview with him, and it was pretty successful, and we tried to reach out and say, using his name and to present what we wanted to, maybe investors in the beginning. We work with some, if you know the startup culture in US, there's a lot of accelerators programs. Like I think nowadays in China we have it a lot. You can start to pitch to investors, and like they give you money, and then you can move on all that. But we weren't really successful. We were not so welcome by a lot of investors. They say, I don't know what you guys are doing. Like you're just doing a kind of a product that has a really small market, and we weren't disappointed, but we still want to do what we think is right. So the thing moved on, and we still try to have more models. This is a Bradley timepiece, we name it. Try to think about how we can include more people to use it. Like we had the stainless steel mask strap just now, and these are the other colors that we presented in our campaign later afterwards. We want to, just to say that, we are also fashionable. We are more than just, serving the blind community. We moved on to, design even, better bottom plates and back plates. And we developed also a methodology to work with the blind. To your right, it's a normal backplate. To your left is a special backplate we designed together with Bradley. So that's how it worked. Bradley, apparently he can't see, but we asked him to sign, 50 signatures for us, just that we can choose one that is good. And it's very much the way we think that things could happen pretty spontaneously or organically. I think we're really successful about promoting this limited edition, and it's really beautiful, backplate. So back to the story of what we can have how we can have investors, or investor wasn't interested in our company. So the kind of only other way we thought about was just to have a campaign on Kickstarter. I guess a lot of you might know or heard of, and we had it last year, July, summer, and we didn't really had a really big goal. We were just like thinking to get enough to keep us moving. We were thinking of just produce maybe 300 to 400 watches. At the beginning was enough, which is about $40,000. Because of the video we had, and also the Brad's help. This is the pictures of a video we took for the Kickstarter. We really try to present it as a product that can serve more than just the blind and also just the normal community. And we had a really good reaction for the Kickstarter, and we were really happy about it and grateful that we can have this funding to keep us moving. That's the part that keep us moving, I guess, and then we can continue. After that, we continue to develop not only the product. This is a brochure design that we had come together with the product. It's we work with really good graphic designers from RISD, just to show that when you get our product, it's not just the thing that you can wear on your wrist, but like we want to present the story. This is a very cinematic brochure that we designed in relation to actually how Braille is represented. I mean, of course, the blind or visually impaired, they can touch the Braille to know the meaning of our brochure or our company. At the same time, we want to use Braille to be an aesthetic element of our design. Braille become a design element, a design direction that we can work together with images and text. So we had a pretty good month in Kickstarter, and we are now still selling and producing enough Bradley to keep us living. But we also, at the same time, are thinking what we're doing actually in comparison to the kind of technology now we have these days. If you think about like how people might say that a watch might be an old technology, might be obsolete. Actually, I don't think in China, Chinese people is pretty into watches. But like in other countries, like they say you can use an iPhone or even smartwatch to check the time, and we would like to argue that like you taking your phone out from your pocket and check the time, it's pretty much like, I mean, just to say about the time checking function, it's pretty much like a pocket watch, 怀表. Pocket watch, we had it 100 years ago or 150 years ago, and then we switched the pocket watch to a wrist just because that it is more convenient, and The pocket watch, is pretty an old invention, and we really really want to argue that, our watch, besides the functions and all that, it provides a different experience of knowing time, and it's, I think, besides seeing that, it's one step further for presenting time. And it's also about the tactility of, the object that makes it different than our smart technology. I think these days, I myself was an architect. Was an architecture student and like design. And I think these days we try a lot not to think about how we feel things, how we touch things. There's different temperature your finger can feel when you touch different objects. When you touch a piece of wood, it's different than when you touch a piece of metal. And of course, titanium is different than touching stainless steel. And we try to think in this way, how the sense of touch can be so important and can be so actually enhancing or give a different experience to life. And that's, again, how we always think that our company, the first product is a really good product. So back to the timepiece, we think, telling time shouldn't require sight, and now it doesn't have to. And I think that the product itself gave us enough, confidence to really think about what we can do next. As I say, I talk about a lot about tactility, and as a company, we want to move forward to make something that is textile or tactile, or that can provide a very different experience than the smart technology we have today. We of course are thinking of designing more different versions of watches that can use different materials to represent the markers, the different protrusions, and we're also thinking other products. We're thinking, an alarm clock, also that is tactile. That I'm not going to show images today, but I'll let you also imagine what is possible for a tactile experience. Going back to our company again, we had a pretty good, successful first product, and again, seeing our company name is really about design for everyone, to include more people, much people as possible in our design. And I wish everyone can, when you think about a normal object or normal thing in your life, you can also think about how design can actually improve or get different groups in the society closer together. Thank you very much.